little channel here on the interwebs. I'm Kim, this is Alex, or Cirone, as some might know you. We forgot to mention that last time. And we're being sophisticated men drinking coffee. Yes. Yes.
Because it's philosophy time.
Yeah, it's philosophy time. There's a new segment here on our little network that we're building, or trying at least. If you want more, let us know, like in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channels. But once again, today we're talking or tonight, depending on where you are, we're talking some philosophy, and some of our friends and fans wondered our take on nihilism.
Yes.
It's a curious topic.
It is.
Yeah.
I think I might be able to start off on some basics and maybe some misconceptions, and
we can make it a bit more constructive, because many people unfortunately have a negative view on it.
I think as with anarchism and anarchy, it's been used in a sense to denigrate.
And for the wrong reasons. It's just to promote an agenda.
Exactly. It's been used in various ways through history. But I think the basics of what we might call existential or moral nihilism, for instance. If you don't know what it is, it's the idea that there are no intrinsic values in life, and that life in itself, or existence in itself, has no meaning and no purpose. There is no telos, as we would call it in philosophy. That's basically it, foundationally.
And it's a very easy estimate to make if you're young and feel discouraged about the world and your life. Sure.
Personally, I am an adherent of the view, philosophically.
You're not a stranger to it.
I'm not a stranger, and I agree primarily, though I absolutely cannot say that this is the case, because that would be a statement of absolute reality, and that would be somewhat against my philosophy. But if the case is that there are no absolute values, that these are constructed as human beings within a social relationship with each other, the interesting thing becomes, why is society built upon the rules that it is? So this becomes the basic critique of the nihilist, to view society as it is, to critique,
oppositional,
to become to become the opposition of every foundation of
pretty much everything.
What can be seen as absolute value. And there's also, of course, more in the metaphysical nihilism. There's, of course, when you take this approach, you will also come to critique the conceptualization of existence that man has created.
Or what you're making of it, and how you're spending your time.
Exactly, and the critique of things like, we can take a subject like, or a concept like ownership.
Mm-hmm.
A nihilistic critique would be that
nothing has any inherent value.
Ownership cannot exist per se, because there is no metaphysical link between you or an object outside of you. It can only exist as a conceptualization within the person that you have that you feel like this object is yours, or
yeah, but usually that's just a bad excuse to break the law instead of adhering to the laws of society and different social constructs.
Sure, but what history has shown is, of course, that
Like that's the general satanic point of view, usually.
yeah, but history has shown that, of course, this could be a way to just rationalize stealing.
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
Or being distrusting or
on the other
dishonest
hand,
or whatever.
we value stealing very differently.
If we don't value it at all.
From a legal standpoint, if you, as a person, go into a shop and steal 1,000 crowns with violence, you will probably end up in jail. But if you steal 50,000 through tax evasion or something, you might not even
Get noticed.
Yeah. Or as a politician.
Because
So these are different conceptualizations of what stealing is, and within it lies the thought that property can be owned and related to a person. I think, as personally,
where is the value and where is the difference?
personally, from a nihilistic point of view, there can be no such thing as ownership. So, what is the basis of the societal structure? It must come from somewhere, and these are the mechanisms that both, like Nietzsche and Foucault, criticized. The internalized moral system itself functions as a way to keep the powerful powerful. That's hegemony. To see something as stealing as wrong only serves those who have some things that you do not.
That depends on who you're taking from or what you're taking.
Of course,
Because it usually
the conceptualization can extend to much more than that.
Yeah.
But in principle, for instance, the Nietzschean critique of Christian morals was exactly this.
because
that
it's usually simplified.
it's usually simplified because you cannot see each individual. You can only see tendencies stretched over a stretch of time.
Yeah.
So the critique is of the tendencies of and the function of the ideology that exists within. So the subjugation to the Christian value system would, for instance, be in Nietzschean terms would be entirely pointless, because the only thing you are subjecting yourself is letting you can't express yourself and become what you are supposed to become in his mildly.
Because you're limiting your values to a doctrine, and
Exactly. As a person,
you're not allowing yourself to explore what your mind or spirit could really succumb to.
exactly. That's one of Nietzsche's critiques of the value system.
It's a very valid point, but like what we mentioned and touched on before that, more importantly, of course, is that the main problem with nihilism is that people use it as an excuse to absolve themselves of any kind of
social
responsibility.
Of course, but that of course is just a childish way of viewing nihilism, because a grown-up way of viewing nihilism would of course be that you will be susceptible to all of the social critiques anyway, even if you yourself will have a standpoint that
you shouldn't only be prepared for it, you should welcome it.
Yeah, because you have to know the system.
Yeah.
And you have to see that all your actions will have consequences. So just
absolutely,
the childish way of viewing nihilism would be that you just do everything you can. Of course you can. in the extreme, it will have no more consequence that you might die, and if everything's meaningless in a sense,
and nothing has inherent value, then
that's no problem.
You're just one among many that stopped breathing.
But that's also, we can address one of the basic critiques of nihilism in that way, as it has been used by, for instance, Dostoevsky and the likes, is that if you don't have the view that there are absolute certainties of morality and ethics, that there are no absolute goods or bads, you will...
There needs to be a polar opposite of whatever you're judging something from.
The thought is that you will inevitably end up killing people or just acting as the classic view of a nihilist. But that is, of course, also a childish critique of nihilism and does not take into account the evolution of the human mind.
It's completely unrealistic.
It's extremely unrealistic, and it does not take into account...
Because just because you're not valuing life doesn't mean that you're willing to take it from others.
That's one philosophical standpoint.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And a very important one to make.
Yes, and we can look at the neuroscience behind it. The mind evolved the insular cortex, for instance, which is the primary function of actions which we find distasteful, as moral distasteful actions. It's located physically in the insular cortex, so it exists as a physical function of the body. So even if, as in my case, I view the world as essentially meaningless, I still will feel that actions are morally reprehensible. I can understand that this is just a function of the physical being that I am in, but it doesn't change what I feel.
And it doesn't make something you're doing into something less worthwhile.
No, absolutely not. I think...
Because everyone is up to the ability to decide or feel if what they're doing or achieving or trying to achieve in life, it has some kind of meaning or value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, to me, nihilism has just been the acceptance of what I feel is exactly what I want to do.
Yeah, or a lack of control or a purpose, like ego death and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sure. And just to really, partly in part, that my project has become to look at the world in a critical way, to perceive it slightly differently, but also to accept my feelings and my empathy towards humans.
Yeah, to some extent. Acknowledging the lack of being able to control the outcome or consequences of them.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, just embracing...
embracing existence as it is.
Indifference and chaos and everything like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But also my own emotions, my positive and negative emotions.
Yeah.
But also to reflect upon them and see if they are maybe as a detriment to future projects or not. I mean, nihilism is not you lose all touch with existence and you just want to kill everything. That's just a bizarre idea that some people have of nihilism.
Yeah, it's not about rejecting life or death or any values. Like, sure, that's the summary of it. But
that can only, I mean,
nothing is about the summary of anything.
No, and you can.
It's about the details.
You can exist.
The context.
You can exist in two different worlds at the same time. You have the rational way of seeing life, the conceptualization, and then you have the emotional responses to life, which is something totally different.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
as an example, it can be the part of you that goes to a normal job, you go to an office, you do your thing, and after that, the rest of the day, you're spending time with your partner, or you create art or music.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the...
Even if you might realize or have the conception that this is inherently worthless, it doesn't mean that you don't feel that it is worthwhile.
Yeah.
These are two totally different
you
things.
can just acknowledge that, this is inherently meaningless, but to me, it has some kind of purpose or use, so I will do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though I admit that I might just as well not do anything of this.
Yes, and I think that is one of the... it's also a good way to see that some people say that you're not supposed to do things at all. I mean, this is also a way of acknowledging that if you want to do something with your life and you feel that this is the way you want to do it, that this is the way to do it. That's also a good perspective, personally, I think, if one wants some self-helpish conceptualization of nihilism as well. Because there are those aspects, of course.
Absolutely.
Don't care what other people say, that you should not do this or should not do that. This is the way you feel, and you can't do anything about it. And
if you really grasp
act on it.
if you really grasp beyond the actual name of it, it's about questioning the definitions and terms that other people set out to you and create your own.
For sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not about what other people decided for you, that this is what this and that is worth, because it's up to you to create value in life and in what you do.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think that's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, it feels more constructive instead of like I don't like to call negativity into something that specific, because negativity can be positive for other people depending on how you curate it.
Of course. Well, that's also life. I mean, you can't expect to always live in a state of constant bliss or positivity, because then you will also have nothing to relate what you would call the good things in life. So life is always about the dialectic experience of the positive and negative, the balance in between,
and the difference or indifference to one thing or another.